Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Good to see this rock star again. If you're watching YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and listening to the radio, there he is, Doug Paul. We talked to him a couple of months back about his book, Kingdom Innovation for a Brave New World. He and his team coaching thousands of churches to shift into the new church era. Doug, how are you?
Doing well. Merry Christmas season. I guess it's not Merry Christmas yet, but season.
Hey, I don't know if they're playing Christmas music where you are. Of course, our sister station, 104.7, The Fish, they started back in what, Dan, August?
Yeah, it seems like it was that far back. No, I think it was the week before Thanksgiving officially, but yeah, it seemed like it was August.
Which leads me to this. I had this written down on my sheet, Doug. Your favorite Christmas movie, go.
Home Alone.
Good one.
Yeah,
I've watched that already this season. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, we've definitely watched 1 and 2. My kids have committed the heresy of saying that Home Alone 3 is the best.
No.
Yes, doesn't even have Macaulay Culkin in it.
Exactly. It's not even
abomination.
I have never heard that ever.
No.
Elf is probably a close second, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that one this season as well.
Yeah, Elf is definitely top 3. All right, one more. We'll get into business here. Top Christmas song.
Oh, Holy Night.
Oh, all right.
By whom? Does it matter?
That's a great question. I do have a favorite, but I feel like there's a favorite that I have in my mind from when I was a kid that I have not found as an adult yet.
What was your favorite as a kid?
Well, that's the problem. I don't know.
Oh, you feel like there is.
I know I will know it when I hear it, but I have not found it yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great song. Great lyrics.
Yeah.
Beautiful melody.
Yeah, love it.
Thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices.
Yes.
Yeah. Doug Paul, we want to catch up with you just a bit. As I mentioned earlier, a couple of months since we've talked. What have you heard so far from the book? And we do want to talk about coaching into 2021.
Man, it's been this is the first book that I've released, and so it's obviously been an interesting journey when you're putting out something into the world. It's been really encouraging, honestly, just getting feedback from people, getting whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, just different people connecting and sharing things that they're learning, how it's impacting them, which has been just incredibly encouraging. That's the point of doing the book. So I am not sure if I will ever write a book again, but I do think the release of this one has been very rewarding. It's been good to see what the Lord has done with it.
The biggest challenge so far, you think, in leaders shifting, the number one so far?
I think the hardest thing right now, and it's hard, it won't probably always be like this, is just the sense of whiplash that leaders are experiencing right now with COVID, where we thought it was opening up, it's not. We thought it was opening up, it's not. It's just like a seesaw back and forth, back and forth. I mean, even in New York City, you see how schools are open one day, closed the next day, 2 days later, open again, but not all of them, only K through 5. And I think it's the uncertainty of knowing what world we're dealing with is really challenging.
Mm-hmm. Now, we were joking before we went on, Doug, about the wall behind you there and how you're solving all the world's problems. Is that a new project you're working on? What you got going on back there?
So I've got 3 different whiteboard walls that are in this basement office, and so some of that is org chart, some of that is a new project that we're looking to release probably in June, and some of it is just random doodles for content that we're slowly cooking. I
gotcha. You ever just go back there and just draw just for fun, or?
My daughter does.
Okay.
She definitely does. If I had any artistic skills, maybe I would too, but I don't.
I gotcha.
If you looked at my whiteboard, it would just be all doodles. Everything else, else is academic. As they say, Doug Paul, Kingdom Innovation for a Brave New World. I was reading the book, and I haven't finished it. I've been jumping around. Probably is unsafe. I should start from the beginning, but that's my personality. But I love the chapter about constraints I love it and I hate it at the same time. You mentioned this quote, and I'm just going to, it's not going to be a word for word because I can't remember it word for word, but you basically say when we become experts as leaders, sometimes that's our downfall because we leave no wiggle room for the new space.
Yeah.
How do we change that?
Yeah. So this is a sociological phenomenon that's really hard. It's called the curse of knowledge. And the idea is the more expertise you gain in something, the harder it is to think about doing it differently. So for you two, when you think about leading a radio show, the better you get it, the way that you're doing it, the harder it is for you to think about doing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true for anything. That can be for parenting, that can be for cooking, that can be for leading, that can be for finance. It doesn't matter what it is. Everyone is subject to that phenomenon. And so part of what it looks like, I think, is as we get better at something, to say like, hey, I'm going to be someone who has expertise. I refuse to be an expert. And I want to always leave space in the way that I'm thinking about how we do something, that there will always be new ways of doing it, and actually challenging yourself to think about new ways and experimenting with new ways as you go.
Now, you coach many church leaders. Do you think some of that too is allowing co-leaders to speak into your world, even not have a bunch of yes men, but somebody that like, hey, I think we should rethink this. It's challenging, right? Really challenging.
Yeah, it's really challenging, and it's essential. Like one of the practices that we do on our team, which is about building, I think some of us is like the muscles that we're building as leaders, is we debrief everything that we do. And it's around 3 questions: what worked, what didn't work, what was weird. Because what because what it's doing is it's saying, I am always available for critique. I'm always available for constructive criticism. I always want to improve and get better. And if I can build that into myself as a leader, that is going to soften my muscles for actually experimenting with new things, so that when new ideas come or someone brings a new idea, I am going to reflexively be open to it. But if I am not open to critique or constructive criticism, I'm going to be reflexively closed to it.
But how many leaders ask that question, but they're not really open to the change that might be needed and to the criticism that might come?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that's one where we can only guess probably,
right?
Because it's the sort of the internal mechanisms of the way a person is thinking or feeling. My guess would be 50-50. If I were to just give an anecdotal guess of what that's like.
Yeah, because a lot of times leaders just, I guess, kind of instinctively might be a little prideful and a little, well, I've gotten this far doing it my way, so my way is the right way. But we always have to be humble and open to change if it's needed, right?
Yeah, and if you think about what you've been good at has gotten you here, but it will not work in 3 years. And so you can pick your own funeral now, or you can adapt and you can, dare I say, innovate into the future to find the future that's actually going to work in 3 years' time, 5 years' time.
Yeah.
Doug Paul, the author of a book, Kingdom Innovation for a Brave New World. Look for Kingdom Innovation 2, maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe not. Here it is. I don't know if I can do justice holding it up there if you're watching Facebook or YouTube Live there. It is a great book, and it's one of those books, obviously you can't read it one time and go, okay, I got it. The beautiful constraint questions really stirred me up a bit. Years ago when I was a lead pastor, I made so many mistakes. I wish I'd have had this book, actually, Doug. I think it would have helped, because I was the one that could think. I was an innovative thinker, intuitive in a sense, but I turned the boat too quick many times and threw everybody off, especially my crew. And so it was painful, but I learned from it. But I love where you talk about discipleship, leadership, mission, worship, reconciliation. And you basically, one that really got my attention, if let's say you led a predominantly African-American church, and for some reason there's relocation, maybe you work in a naval town or something, I don't know. And then all of a sudden it totally flips. You've got to be prepared for that, or you'll sink. As I use the analogy of naval, that's genius.
Yeah, and one of the things we talk about is when we think about constraint, this is a skill you can learn, and if you actually take some time over the course of a year to just fool around and noodle around with some of those questions that we have, like in that section with your staff team, what it's going to do is it's going to make you more nimble and agile, so that when the next thing comes up, whether you are creating the next thing because there's something that you want to pivot towards, or something happens like, I don't know, COVID, you're able to adapt because you've actually been proactively building some of those muscles. You know, Rick, we joke sometimes that for intuitive leaders, one of the things that they do is that they steer the boat like it's a John boat without recognizing that it's actually the Titanic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that now. But 30 years ago, I was in a life preserver. But
Titanic doesn't exactly turn on a dime, does it?
No, it doesn't turn on a dime.
No.
But I mean, these are the lessons that we learn as leaders. That only come with experience and failure. That failure is part of the journey, and that's okay.
That's so good, Doug. Great book for you. I don't care who you are. It is a great book. You could use it as a church leader. You could use it for your family. I mean, personally, it's great stuff. One more question. I know we have a lot of folks that watch us, listen to us, that are either lead pastors or associates, folks that are there, just helping and building. I'm an associate now. If I want to influence the lead pastor with this book and the truths in this book, how do I start?
Well, you could go to Amazon and you could buy it as a Christmas gift. No, I mean, I think there are some really great lessons in, influencing and leading up. I think one of them is if you're unsure of the openness of the lead pastor or the leader who is above you, the thing I think to start with is actually to experiment very small in your own life with just a few people. That isn't about the organization. It's not about, you're not trying to change the whole organization. You're just trying to learn around something that you sense that God has put in front of you. And let the story of what God does be the influencer, not you trying to win an argument or a point.
Wow.
That is so
wise.
Yeah. Not only get the book, but go to the website and check out blog posts, including one called, excuse me, What Does Weezer Have to Do with Church Innovation? That got my attention.
Weezer the band?
Weezer the band.
I haven't gotten there yet. I got stuck in the manure story, but it didn't stink. It was really good. I found that fascinating. I find those facts that, if they left things undone, they got up, 7, 8, 9 foot tall piles of manure. It's really good because in the ages of the horse, they had manure problems in major cities, and then the automobile, pushing it out, if you will, just changed the whole dynamic of that. You got to read the book, really. I do it no justice. DougPaul.org, great book. Get many books if you're on staff. Get one for the lead pastor there. If you're a lead pastor, get some for your crew, and also be a part of the coaching that these guys do. You're amazing. Doug, hope you have a great Christmas, you and your family. Would love to talk to you next year, whether you have a new book or not. I think you're a bright person, a leader, pastor, and I think you're just touching so many lives. Thank you for your sacrifices.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.